to Travel Talk. This is episode number 35, I think. And today's episode is basically going to be covering the last kind of half day in America, and then the first part of our travels from America to Sydney via Fiji. So it's going to be fairly interesting. There's enough to pad out. This episode will be kind of predominantly the day and the first part of our flying, and then I'll make the second episode kind of the second part of the flying, and then a little bit of kind of getting to Australia and get into the hostel and everything like that. So there's plenty enough to cover the videos. The last day in America, it was sad. Obviously we'd done a lot, so it was going to be sad to leave, but onwards and upwards to better things. So we got up about 9 o'clock in the hostel. We got packed, showered, and we headed down to the office in the hostel, because even though we were checking out at 10 o'clock, we could leave our bags there all day and come in and out of the hostel freely, just until our shuttle went later on in the evening. So that was good, because it meant we didn't have to be out the entire day with our bags or sit at the airport for like 10 hours. So, it helped a lot. So, like I said, let us use the bag service and keep our stuff in a cupboard basically, so which was good. And while we did that, we decided we were going to head up to a mall which was about a 25-minute walk away. Hadn't been to it yet, but we kind of realised after packing that we hadn't got enough warm weather clothing, because the time that we were actually heading to Sydney, they'd just come off of a lot of tropical storms, and it was their rainy season as such, so there was a lot of rain, a lot of cold weather. So considering we'd been in a lot of hot weather, we weren't as prepared as we could have been. So we just wanted to go out and get some last minute bits. Headed down to this mall. It had shops in it like Old Navy, which I think I've said about before. It's kind of like a Primark but cheaper. Target, again, similar sort of shop. Ross, which is again similar sort of shop. To buy last minute clothing bits, some trousers, some coats. Just bits that would keep us warm, because, like I say, we weren't prepared for rainy Australia. No one's prepared for rainy Australia, we did our shopping and headed to a CVS, which was also at the mall, to get some foodie bits, just to see us throughout the day, because our shuttle wasn't actually leaving until 7:15, and we would get back to the hostel about 2 o'clock, so we'd have about 5 hours to just kind of sit and do nothing, in all honesty. So we got our cheap clothes, we got some food. We were out for about 3-4 hours. Like I say, headed back to the hostel for about 2 o'clock, and just kind of sat, chilled out, played a bit of pool, and just waited until 7:15 basically, because like I say, that's when our shuttles turned up. The shuttle turned up pretty much on time. I think there was only there was 7 people on it, and they were all going to LAX, which is always helpful. We were the only ones flying internationally, the other 2 were flying domestically. So we got dropped off first. LAX is incredible. I've been to some airports, but bloody hell, LAX is another level. You've never seen so many different departure lounges and airlines and taxis trying to have arguments with each other, and it's incredible. I wouldn't want to work there, put it that way. It's madness, absolute madness. But we got there probably about 3.5 hours before our flight. Dropped our bags in at check-in, got everything tagged, got our smaller backpacks tagged so that we could take them on the flight with us. And we had a few hours after that, obviously, to chill out. Went and got some Chinese food at Panda Express, which is a Chinese food chain in America. It's very good food. Panda Express is the best. That took us up until about 9:30. So we just kind of grabbed some water out of the shop there and headed to our departure gate to just, sit and wait for the flight basically, because there wasn't much point in us doing anything else. So our flight to Fiji was at 10:45. And it took off at 11:30 roughly, so it wasn't too far off when it was supposed to take off. It took off on a Tuesday night, and we arrived in Fiji on a Thursday morning, which was a little bit strange, I'm not going to lie. The time difference is kind of screwed with your mind a little bit, but these things happen. The flight from LAX to Fiji would last about 11 hours. and the international dateline, like I say, kind of screws with the time, so we'd be getting there Thursday morning at like 6 a.m. or something. So it was very strange. But yeah, the flight was all fine. We got on board, got checked in, got seated, and yeah, we just waited to take off. Basically, it was pretty easy getting on and everything. We actually flew with Fiji Airways, shockingly enough, and obviously didn't know what to expect too much because they're not a like, big name airline as such. So you don't really know too much. We just read some reviews about them online, and yeah, they seemed pretty good, to be honest. So that's the reason we went with them. But yeah, it was a really good flight. It was a clean plane. The staff were courteous. We had comfy seats, got 3 blankets, pillows, and yeah, it was good. They had a lot of films on the screens as well. They had a larger selection of films than I expected because I don't know. I just thought because it was a smaller airline that they wouldn't be as well populated with films, but there was plenty. At the time, like American Sniper had just come out, Kingsman had just come out, The Hobbit had just come out. I think there was about that and maybe about 12 others. So it was about 15 sort of number, like big films, and there was a TV series, and yeah, there was a lot of stuff to do on there. So it was really good. We also got fed pretty well on there. We got dinner at about midnight sort of time, and breakfast at about 5 a.m, which was actually 7 a.m. It was strange. It was 5 a.m. that we got fed, but technically it was 7 a.m. But it was still kind of 5 a.m. So the times just screw with your mind. Seriously, it's madness. And yeah, like I say, that happened. We arrived in Fiji at about I think it was about 6:30 a.m. and our flight to Sydney wasn't actually leaving until about 9:30 a.m. I don't think so. When we arrived in Fiji, we kind of had plenty of time to get through customs, which was good because they only had one gate open. Fiji airport's quite funny. It's a small little airport, but they were doing a lot of work to it while we were there. So I'm sure usually it's fine, but at the time there was one gate open for our plane, which probably had about I reckon about 120 people on it. So one gate for 120 people. Obviously that took a lot of delays. You had to go through 2 security checks, which the security machine kept not working, so they were kind of waving people through when they probably shouldn't have been. And then yeah, you get through to the waiting lounge, which is also a building site. It has a big kind of plasterboard down the side of it, so you can kind of tell what they're doing. Yeah, sat there until about 9:30, and I'll probably leave this episode here because then, like I say, I want to cover the second flight and the first day in Australia, first half day in Australia as such, in the next video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. I know it's not been the most exciting of videos, but you know, it's again one of those travel videos where you kind of have to bear with it until you get to the next good bit. So, and Sydney obviously was going to be great because think about how many things are good in Sydney and Australia itself. So, but yeah, I guess I'll catch you next time. See ya.